All right, what is going on, you guys? Brian here, and this is my WWE SmackDown recap for tonight's episode. Not a lot to get to, but let's just get right into it. It featured two returns of one tag team and one individual. I'll get into that in just a moment. But we started off with a triple threat women's tag team match. It was Sasha Banks and the SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley teaming up to take on Lacey Evans and Dana Brooke and Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Now, of course, with triple threat matches, whether it be three people or three tag teams, first team or first to get a pinfall or submission scores the victory. Now, this matchup, not that bad of a match. They kind of played up the whole Dana Brooke and Lacey Evans, Sasha and Bayley feud, and it kind of felt like Alexa and Nikki were just thrown into this match just because. No particular reasons whatsoever to be thrown into it, but it is what it is. I mean, who wants to see the same tag matches over and over and over again? But overall, decent match. Dana Brooke picked up the win for her and Lacey, and that was pretty much it. And then a little bit later, they announced that next week, Lacey Evans is gonna be taking on Sasha Banks. So that's a huge match for next week. But this triple threat women's tag match was not that bad. It was decent. So that was it for that. We had some backstage segments throughout the show tonight. One involving Daniel Bryan and Miz. Daniel Bryan, of course, won last week to become #1 contender over Miz and King Corbin. Miz came up to him and basically was like talking about how the Fiend infiltrated his house and infiltrated his daughter's bedroom and put those dolls. This was before TLC. He put those Firefly Funhouse dolls in Miz's daughter's crib and bed, and he basically brought that up to Daniel Bryan. He basically told Daniel to beat the Fiend, not just for him, but for himself and for everybody else. Of course, Daniel Bryan will challenge the Fiend for the Universal Championship at the Royal Rumble. Then, a little bit later, The Miz would have a backstage segment with Kofi Kingston and Big E. This would lead to a match between Kofi and Miz a little bit later. The second match of the night was Shorty G and Dash Wilder. This came about because of some interaction they had backstage where the Revival were talking about always being put in gimmick matches. And then Shorty G walked up and they basically insulted him. This would lead to Shorty G and Dash Wilder agreeing to a match for later on for SmackDown. So that was the second match. It was okay, nothing really special. Shorty G got the win with the ankle lock. Afterwards, Scott Dawson who was sitting at the announce table, he would come in and basically attack Shorty G from behind. They would hit the Shatter Machine on him. And that seemed like that was it until Sheamus, his music hit. He came out. The Revival pushed Shorty G into him, but he was going after the Revival, like thinking, okay, he's a babyface now. He's gonna go after the Revival. No, he went after Shorty G, hitting him with the bro kick, and that was pretty much it. So Sheamus made his return tonight on SmackDown. The Miz, he took on Kofi Kingston. Kofi picked up the win in this one. It didn't really seem like a long match. It seemed like it was a short match. Afterwards, Miz would attack Kofi. Big E would chase Miz away. Miz would then scream at the fans because they were booing him, saying, "After everything I've done for you, I've done everything for you, and this is what I get." So basically, I think they're gonna probably turn Miz heel, which wouldn't be bad. I think he's better off as a heel than a babyface. Uh, then, when one of the interviewers was going to try to get a word with Miz, they knocked on his door, and John Morrison, uh, who had been speculated about coming back to WWE, he made an appearance on Backstage. He would come out of Miz's locker room, basically saying Miz has nothing else left to say. So I wouldn't mind seeing Morrison when he does get back in the ring. I hope they keep him on SmackDown and have him with Miz, because I really liked their tag team back in what was it? I think 2008, somewhere in that area. I think it was maybe before that, maybe 2007, when they were teaming up, and they were a really good tag team. So I wouldn't mind seeing them teaming up again, turn Miz heel, and do it that way. So next matchup, there was a couple. Like I said, there was other segments going on. One involving Otis and Mandy Rose, and that whole storyline of what happened last week, where Dolph Ziggler stomped on a fruitcake that Otis gave to Mandy Rose. Otis was in action. He took on Drew Gulak. Gulak was talking about Otis's infatuation with Mandy, saying that Mandy would never go out with someone like Otis. He would then present a PowerPoint, and he wouldn't even get through it when Otis would go after him. Short match. Otis picked up the win with the Vader Bomb after hitting the Caterpillar. That was pretty much it. What else? We had Braun Strowman was in action. He took on Cesaro. He won the match with the Power Slam. Sami Zayn and Intercontinental Champion Shinsuke Nakamura were at ringside. They would try to get involved on multiple occasions. Strowman would knock down Nakamura. After the match, Nakamura would hit the Kinshasa on Strowman, obviously setting up an Intercontinental title match between those two, and a match in general somewhere down the road. Then, in the main event, it was Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan taking on Dolph Ziggler and King Corbin. This one was okay. No winner in this one, because The Fiend would come out or would make an appearance and go after Daniel Bryan. They would fight on the outside of the ring. Daniel looked like he had the advantage, but then Fiend would get him in the mandible claw, throw him throw him through the barricade, and then apply the mandible claw again. Then, as always, the lights would go out. Lights would come back on. The Fiend is nowhere to be found. Roman would go to check on Daniel along with the officials. He would get attacked by Ziggler and Corbin. Then they would end up back in the ring. 2-on-1 beatdown on Roman by Corbin and Ziggler. And who would make the save? None other than Roman's cousins, the Usos, who made their return to WWE television on tonight's episode. They went after Corbin, they went after Ziggler, taking them both out, and then stood tall with Roman Reigns and saving him from the embarrassment of having dog food poured over him again, because Ziggler and Corbin had handcuffed Roman to the ropes, and they looked like they were going to do like they did a couple of weeks ago, pour dog food on him. But the Usos made the save, and that was pretty much it for SmackDown for tonight's episode. So With that being said, not a lot happened on SmackDown tonight. Like I said, Sheamus made his return. Usos made their return. So I thought it was an okay episode. Like I said, nothing really exciting. A lot of build up to the Royal Rumble. Um, so yeah, pretty much that's pretty much it. Um, I thought it was an okay episode this week. So with that being said, this is, if you guys watched tonight's episode of SmackDown, let me know what you guys thought of it in the comments below. This has been my SmackDown recap for tonight's episode. As always, I am Brian, and thank you for watching.